Our top story tonight's blockbuster headline today. President Clinton calling Obama an amateur. This goes back to last August 2011. It's according to a new book by famed author Robert Klein. Mr. Klein's going to join us on the program Tuesday. And on top of that, President Obama just told us he, quote, forgot how bad the recession is. Take a listen to this.
It was a house of cards, and it collapsed in the most destructive, worst crisis that we've seen since the Great Depression. And sometimes people forget the magnitude of it, you know, and you saw some of that, I think, in the video that was shown. Sometimes I forget.
And, oh, by the way, I hope the president hasn't forgotten just how anemic the recovery is. Now, let's go to our distinguished panelists. Ari Melber, correspondent for The Nation magazine. Dave Fredosa, Washington Examiner editorial page editor. Scott Rasmussen, waiting in the wings. Gentlemen, I want to go to this point. Obama is getting blasted by Clinton. This comes from a meeting last summer. Okay. Do you remember Obama at the end of 2010 couldn't get the Bush tax cuts extended? Everybody wanted it. He goes to the White House on a Saturday afternoon, can't make the sale. He brings Bill Clinton in. Clinton stands in the press room and makes the sale by simply saying, you know what, if we don't extend these tax cuts, we're going to have a double-dip recession. Now, I think that's what Clinton's talking about, and I want to ask you what this means that Clinton called Obama an amateur.
Well, I think he's felt that way a long time. If you read Jonathan Alter's book on the first part of the Obama administration, you see there's a lot of resentment there about the idea this guy just came in. I think the words he uses is he dropped his bags off at the Senate and started running for president, who isn't nearly ready for the job. It actually makes sense that Clinton would feel that way about President Obama, and to hear a story like that kind of reinforces it a little bit.
This is brutal stuff. This is brutal stuff from an outspoken president who obviously he wants his wife to run. I mean, that's in the book, and in the book she says no. But what does it mean? Clinton says Obama doesn't know how to be president and is incompetent. And I want to just add to that. Why is it that Obama couldn't make a Bowles-Simpson budget deal, deficit limit deal, debt limit deal, the way Bill Clinton did with Newt Gingrich? In other words, Clinton is onto something in these criticisms, is he not?
Well, look, President Clinton did two things when he faced a recalcitrant Republican Congress. Number one, he didn't blink in showdowns over shutting down the government, so he had mettle. Number two, as you point out, Larry, he was willing to make big deals, but the first thing was being tough, and I think President Clinton's public, and if these reports are relieved, private concerns with President Obama has been not going at the Republicans the same way. You have to work from strength if you want to make deals.
Just in a second, before we get Scott Rasmussen, do you think Obama's an amateur?
I do not.
You do not?
I think that the biggest mistake he made was not realizing how serious these Republicans, and particularly the Tea Party caucus, was. You talk to people in finance, they don't think that defaulting on the debt was a good idea, but that was a political fight that hurt Obama.
Including me.
I know.
I was critical of both sides on that. All right, hang on for 1 second. I want to bring in my great pal Scott Rasmussen, ace pollster. Rasmussen reports. He's got a brand new poll out today. This is big stuff. Mitt Romney has now moved to 50% and seems to be pulling away from President Obama. Now, Scott, this is a top front page story. You're telling me 50% means Romney can win, and he's got a 7-point lead. What's going on here?
Well, I think the biggest thing that we're seeing in this poll is the message we've been talking about all along. It is still all about the economy. The numbers started shifting in Romney's direction last Friday, right after that jobs report came out. The more there was economic news that suggests there are reasons to be concerned, the more it helps Mitt Romney. I don't think he's pulling away right now. I think he's at the upper end of a range. But I think when the focus is on the economy right now, Mitt Romney's prospects are as good as they're going to be. 50%
approval rating says he might get 50% in the election. Now, here's the deal.
Oh, that's right.
Right? I mean, you taught me that. Other people have taught me that. The other thing is, look, in your poll...
Yeah, President Obama's job approval rating has been in the mid to high 40s for 33 months. And unless he can move that up, he's in a little bit of trouble. If the economy does get better by October, well, then the president will be doing much better than he is right now. But if the economy continues to show signs of concern, the president's going to have a real uphill fight. Larry, you keep talking about the tepid pace of the recovery. 60% of Americans believe we are still in a recession. A majority has believed that every night for more than 4 years.
And Scott Rasmussen, you got another little sub-poll here. 37% give Obama positive marks on economic issues. 37%? Right. I got friends of mine who could do better than that.
Well, 2 out of 3 Americans trust their own judgment on the economy more than the president's, but 2 out of 3 also trust their own judgment more than Mitt Romney's. This is a situation where it's a referendum on the president, and the economy is the key issue. And Larry, I will keep saying that to you every time I'm on this year. The number to look at is how do people rate their own personal finances. Right now, it's better than it was last summer, but not quite as good as it was the day that President Obama took office.
All right, Scott Rasmussen, thank you, Scott, for the update. We really appreciate it. We're back with Ari Melber, David Fredoza, and we're joined by CNBC contributor Robert Costa, ace reporter of the National Review. This is just too much fun. The Ezra Klein book quotes Bill Clinton as calling Obama an amateur, says he doesn't know how to be president, and he says he's incompetent. What's your take on that, Bob Costa?
I think the Clinton-Obama relationship when it comes to politics is really interesting. It seems like President Obama is trying to run a 96 Clinton-style campaign, had a lot of distractions in 96, ran on school uniforms, but Clinton had a great economy. Obama's running on a distractions campaign, but he doesn't have the great economy to boost him, and he's also not tacking to the center like Clinton did in 96. So I think President Obama is in a little bit of a perilous situation. He's tacking left on social issues and is not talking about the economy at all.
And it was Clinton who made the sale. I just said this. Clinton made the sale in late 2010 in the White House press room on a Saturday afternoon. He said, if we don't extend the Bush tax cuts, we're going to have a double-dip recession. He did that so brilliantly. I'm soft on Clinton. I always have been soft on Clinton. Clinton made deals with Newt Gingrich for welfare reform and balanced budgets.
Obama can't make the sale to the Senate. Look what happened in West Virginia. Obama's losing 40% to a federal inmate. He can't win. Obama can't win those Reagan Democrats. Clinton was able to articulate an economic message that connected not only with the center, but the Reagan Democrats. I don't see Obama appealing to that part of his party at all.
All right. Why would Obama say out there he forgot the magnitude of the recession? What's that all about? Why would he make a comment like that?
I think this campaign from the beginning, this re-election campaign, has done a lot to try to remind people just how bad it was. And so what they've tried to say is, it may feel bad now, but it was really bad before. And that is like any historical or counterfactual argument saying just imagine is tough to do. And so what he's saying is, it's not just you, Larry, or you, the voters, who forget. Even he forgets. It is an inclusive way of saying we all forget it. Now, you could say it's tough rhetoric because it's a tough sell, but I think that's why he includes himself.
I just think it's a dumb way to approach it because, look, you just heard Scott Rasmussen. The guy's running Obama. He's running a 37% economic approval. If I had a 37% economic approval, I wouldn't be saying I forgot the magnitude of the recession.
I got to tell you,
I just wouldn't say that.
I have to say,
there's a lot of things I might say, but that wouldn't be one of them.
I think his numbers, given this economy, are surprisingly high, and they are higher than other presidents who've dealt with similar levels of unemployment. That's striking.
All right. I want to ask you, David Fredoza, your column today is a very interesting column. You're saying, and you mentioned this before, this is all distractions, including gay marriage and student loans and a whole bunch of things. First of all, what number on the polling scale is gay marriage? Where'd that come out?
Well, when Pew put 18 different issues in front of the respondents in one of their surveys, asked them to rank them, the jobs, economy, the budget all came first, and gay marriage was 18th out of 18.
18.
Now, I don't think Obama wanted to do this now. I think he did want to do it before the election, but this entire campaign so far, when you talk about tax breaks for private jets, when you talk about the Buffett rule, when you're talking about gay marriage, when you're talking about a student loan bill that saves people $7, when you're basically taking as many bright, shiny objects and holding them up and saying, hey, look at this, don't pay attention to the economic situation.
Yes. But what were the top issues?
The top issues were the economy, right, jobs, and the budget.
And the budget deficit. Now, that's a real shocker. Okay, so this, he may not remember, Obama may not remember how bad the recession was, but a lot of people remember how anemic the recovery is, right? We're at 2% recovery. We got 23 million people either unemployed, underemployed, or left work altogether. Middle class income is actually falling, not rising. How's he going to get out of that?
Look, the president wants to talk about socially liberal issues. He wants to talk about going to Hollywood. But the real issue I think people are forgetting this election is the failed stimulus. He tried to stimulate the economy with chunks of cash. It didn't work. I think Romney has to hammer that as much as he talks about jobs.
What's he going to say? What's his argument? More stimulus? I had Larry Summers on, the Obama-nomics Obama-meister. He said the problem was we needed more stimulus.
He just wants to ladle more cash to special interest groups that happen in the stimulus. I don't think that argument's going to play with independent voters. You see Obama throwing red meat to his base on gay marriage, student loans. The students and the social liberals were already in Obama's camp. And the stimulus failed. Where are the independents going to go towards someone who has an economic growth message?
Okay, purely objectively, as you do brilliantly, is Mitt Romney taking advantage of these economic weaknesses? Now, the Rasmussen poll says the answer is yes. Where do you come out? Is Romney taking advantage of Obama's economic weaknesses?
No, I think politically he's not breaking through. He hasn't given a big speech to say, this is what I did in the private sector, this is what I'm going to do for America. And he hasn't figured out how he wants to deal with what you're calling distractions. A lot of people in the gay community don't feel it's a distraction. They feel it's a human rights issue. George W. Bush didn't think that gay marriage was a distraction when he ran on it in 2004. I remember because I was on the other side of that campaign.
The main issue, though. We're not saying it's a distraction in and of itself, but it's a distraction from the main issue of this election, the economy.
Isn't it? I mean, I know it's an important issue to a lot of people, but it's 18th on the Pew list. Why would Obama get trapped in 18th on the Pew list? And by the way, he's got swing states that are against gay marriage. I just don't get it.
I think when you're talking to...
I understand a conscience position.
Sure.
I'm okay with that. I'm kind of a live and let live guy myself, but I don't understand the politics of it.
Oh, I know we're almost out of time, but to split the difference between the gentleman over here, if you look at the student loan issue, right, you're talking about $10, $15 per student. It's a non-issue if you did pass it, right? On the other hand, it's such a non-issue that this Republican House still wouldn't go to a vote on it, right? They wouldn't pass it.
Obama's going to already win the students. When he's going to win independence? That's the question.
I do think at a certain point when you're faced with these small issues, you have to wonder, if you can't get anything in Congress anyway, then you're going to end up talking about it.
I think they wanted to pay for it. I think that was
all I'll say is, I got to get out of here.
It is a very trivial issue.
This race is beginning to look like it's over. I just want to say that. Mitt Romney's the most underrated He ain't perfect. You're right. He's underrated. Ari Melber, Robert Costa, and David Freddoso. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Up next on Cutaway.